Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Duck Duck Bros podcast. It's your boy, Master Damie,
This is Robbie Ray.
and we got a special guest with us today. Michael is here.
Hello there.
Hello there. And today we're talking about Star Wars, huh?
General Kenobi.
General Kenobi, huh? We
Saw
got,
the reference, early reference on.
hey,
All right, we're getting the ball
getting
rolling
the ball
early today.
rolling. We're getting the ball rolling. We just had a big series finish, what, about a week ago? A week from tomorrow?
About a week ago.
All right, Boba Fett, the Book of Boba Fett just finished up.
Boba.
Thoughts, concerns, reactions? Robbie Ray?
Overall, happy. But I will say that I think they could have been a little bit better, like bringing in everybody. I don't think how can I say it? I felt that it was weird to bring in the Mandalorian, like a full episode, and then just like full episode, just the Mandalorian, and then still kind of like half an episode ish. Like I feel like they gave a lot of runtime for the Mandalorian for it to be like the Book of Boba Fett,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if I don't know if it was just to try to bring people back because like everybody loves the Mandalorian and then obviously Grogu and everything like that, right? And to help up, you know, to make sure that people watch it.
Hmm.
But I just felt it was weird. I don't think they needed to really bring that much airtime for the Mandalorian. I feel like it would have been a lot better if they would have we know how this the lady that part has the whole space has the
The
robots,
mechanic
and then she
lady?
the mechanic lady,
Yeah.
and she rolled up and then she was like, oh, look who's here, and Grogu pops out.
Yeah.
I would have felt like it would have been a lot better if that was the first time we saw Grogu,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
And then we don't really have that that
Oh,
choice or anything like
yeah.
that. And then Mandalorian 3 kind of season 3 picks up and kind of shows up, all right, how did that happen, right? And the first episode or two is the whole episode that Mandalorian had, and then kind of follows up with the timeline, and then finishes and starts back up after Book of Boba Fett, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
You
I
get
get what
me?
you're saying.
So
Yeah.
we get the two different point of
Mm-hmm.
views of how
Yeah.
things happened,
Yeah. Yeah.
instead of giving him some he basically got what 2 episodes if you think about it.
Yeah. Everyone was calling it season 2.5 of
Yeah.
Mandalorian. So
So it was a little weird.
I felt like it was cool, just as a Mandalorian fan, just to see what he
Hmm.
was doing, um, away. Before he gets, kind of give us an idea what he's doing after, uh, what happened in season 2, which was
Hmm.
cool. But I kind of agree. It's kind of it felt kind of weird just to see that he was it kind of gave they literally dedicated a whole episode. It ended with him back on Tatooine and kind of
Hmm.
showing them asking for help, and then him, and then going to see Grogu. I felt like that maybe would have, like you said, maybe it would have been better if you were just that last episode. We just see the ship landing and then kind of oh wait, is that Luke again? And then all of a sudden it's just Grogu, just
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know. It's mixed feelings. There's people who think, you know, that the Mandalorian kind of carried the show towards
Hmm.
the end there. So, what do you think, Michael?
I think they had to do it. So it was, if you remember the ending of Mando, I think it was the last episode. It mentions that Boba Fett will return in the Book of Boba.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So for to connect Boba Fett to the Mandalorian, they had to bring him in at some point. Because
Right.
then it would have just been all right, so Boba was doing this, and like where's Mando, like what's going on. And then the reason they had to do that, I don't think they had to do a full episode, but the reason they basically did do a full episode is because they're connecting it back to Mando and how it's going to tie into the third season. Because if we just go, we get this whole chapter of Book of Boba, we don't know where it falls in on the timeline of Mando.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't get any info. If they didn't do the Mando episode, we have no idea where he's going, what he's doing until the next season comes back, which means they would have to do a couple catch-up episodes to clarify everything and kind of set the season back, especially if they're only doing a select edition of or a select release of episodes. So it kind of has to like fill in the timeline so that when we do get the next season of Mando, we know where everyone's at and what happened. Because then we could have just got season 3 of Mando and like Boba did all this stuff on Tatooine and we had no idea where Mando was at. So then we would have to go back to the ending of Mando when he gave Grogu to Luke and pick up from there, you know? So I'm not saying it wasn't a bad idea because Mando was very interesting to see, but it was just kind of annoying that it was kind of like you wanted Boba more, but it was like, you know.
Because you literally don't see him that whole episode, that whole 5th episode. You don't see Boba Fett at all. So it kind of felt weird. I think that's the part that felt weird, you know.
Just... Not gonna lie, like I literally paused it. I was like, "Wait, what am I watching Mandalorian?" Like, wait.
It felt like an episode of the Mandalorian,
right?
But I
was like, "Wait a minute, I'm watching the right stuff."
Yeah, I would be lying to you though if I didn't get out of my seat and was excited, you know, like that whole.
For sure.
At first, I thought it was just gonna be that beginning scene. And then they were gonna cut back to Tatooine, and then, but no, they just kept going and going. I'm just like, man, I was like, when are they gonna like tie in the whole Boba Fett stuff, you know? And it just until the very end, where you know, where you're just like, hey, like we need some help, and he's just like, tell him it's on the house. Like, oh, okay, like, all right, and so then I'm thinking, all right,
Mando.
And I'm in my head, I'm thinking once he says, I gotta pay a visit to a little friend, I'm thinking, all right. Maybe that's where it picks up season 3, where
right. That would have been perfect. I feel for me,
and he still fights, but we kind of like see like, all right, but they gave it to us all. So I think in that case, it's good just for the Mandalorian's sake, just because we can just jump into the story of him and Grogu and what they're gonna do next, you know. So and in that sense, I think it's perfect. Because once we get season 3, it's just gonna get started, and we don't have to like backtrack, like Mikey said, and then catch back to where they're at now. But now we can just get in, see what's happening, and whatever they got planned. You know what I mean?
I think also, I could be wrong. I don't remember. I know Dave Filoni directed a couple of the episodes. I don't know if that was the one.
I think the 5th one was his.
I think so.
Yeah.
But if you go back to Star Wars: The Clone Wars, there was a bunch of episodes that never tied directly into like the main story, but it was like mandatory storytelling that he did. So when they did like the full Mando episode, and I think it was him, I'm pretty sure, but when he did his like episodes that he directed, it kind of reminded me of the Clone Wars because he would always do like an episode on only the droids or like an episode on Colonel Gaston and the other like four. Like he did strictly episodes on that, and they had their own arcs. So it was just kind of like him doing him, and that's what like it was just his kind of tie-in to the Clone Wars. Besides Cad Bane, to be honest.
Right.
But he also did mention. I don't know if you guys caught it in the end of the episode. They referenced when Cad Bane and Boba were showing down. They referenced the deleted scene by Filoni that it explained how Boba got the dent in his helmet.
Yeah, I've seen that little clip that they've made of that.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
I thought that was sick. I was like, oh.
Yeah. And speaking of Cad Bane, a lot of people were happy to see him in live action. Very happy, right? Kind of see this
Did you
animated
see the
stuff.
reactions?
Huh?
Some of the reactions, like on TikTok and
Yeah,
everything
yeah,
like that.
yeah. Like
People are
people,
going crazy,
yeah,
bro.
they were
I loved it.
excited. But the moment, if, spoiler alert for those, I mean, hopefully you're not
All
watching
this is
this.
spoiler alerts, but
Yeah, hopefully you're not watching this and you
I mean,
still
yeah,
haven't
you've had a week.
finished. Yeah, yeah, honestly, you've had a week. But the moment he dies in the Boba Fett, these people are going insane, ranting about like, dude, you gave us this little piece of him in live action, and now he's gone.
Well, I've been waiting to talk about this.
Go ahead. What
Okay.
what do you
The
what
floor
how
is
do you
the
the floor
floor
is
is
yours.
yours.
What do you say to those people and was it the time for him to go, or
The
do you think?
majority of those people did not watch the Clone Wars. Because if they saw the Clone Wars, they would know that Cad Bane had multiple character arcs throughout that entire seven season, 8 seasons. And so to bring that back and to bring him back, especially with Boba at their age, there's not much you can do. Like if anything, it would go to like a prediction of you'll see Cad Bane in Kenobi or
Mm-hmm.
in the Andor series,
Yeah,
just because he's in the live action now.
yeah,
But for him to continue on after, it would be very hard to do.
yeah,
Like there's not enough story connecting anyone to Cad Bane at that point in the timeline.
yeah,
Like
Yeah, definitely
the
not.
only person that was connecting Bane at that point was Boba.
yeah,
Besides that, like the Hutts were dead, and the Hutts weren't that prominent anymore. All the Jedi that he was facing off were gone. So it's like, who's hiring him besides like maybe like the Pikes and the Crimson Dawn? But like even still, like you couldn't really tie that in directly. It would have to be through like a third party source. So like
Mhm.
even if they were upset about Cad Bane dying, it was almost like kind of a mandatory thing to do. But it
yeah,
was nice to see his character.
yeah, definitely. And I feel like seeing him in the live action. I don't think it's the end of him in live action. I feel like you said, you might see him in some like, who knows, we might see him just
I would
Obi-Wan.
slightly in
definitely
other, and
assume he might be in Kenobi at
yeah,
some point.
yeah,
I,
you might see him in Kenobi. I mean, they're I feel like they're focusing on this period between the Clone Wars and Mandalorian to, and I feel like you might see some Clone War. I mean, they're making a bunch of references to the Clone Wars. I feel like now they have all the sources and the CGI to make um, these live action series and movies. Like, I feel like you're gonna see a lot of these characters that we've seen in these cartoons and stuff.
I mean, the biggest thing they're doing is honestly just coming full circle with everything.
Oh
Because
yeah,
even if you look like the first couple seasons of Mando, there's so many references back to the Clone Wars.
yeah,
With even Ahsoka just being live action,
yeah,
like her character alone
yep,
is like Clone Wars 101. Like
yeah,
right.
so as they as they continue like with Kenobi and like the Andor series, I'm pretty sure they'll bring in more of these references because it's like even though the Clone Wars took forever to become like canon and everything, like Filoni and what he did with that entire series honestly paved the way for these other series to like connect in and like make sense. Because
Right.
like without some of these characters, they don't make sense. Like
yeah,
For
yeah,
sure. I mean, especially with Star Wars, I feel like there's so many gaps, like between the movies, between Clone Wars, Rebels, right? That there's so much time that you could fill and like kind of
yeah,
clean up gaps where there are some, and then that's prime time to bring in characters that we haven't seen together. Like great example, Ahsoka and Luke. We've never seen them together, and then it just kind of seeing them both on the screen talking. The moment where she's like, "You're just like your father," like that was like I was like, "Ooh," like chills. Like
yeah,
it's crazy to see it, but like I think for the the hardcore fans that have seen Clone Wars, have seen Rebels, and you know, have seen these characters like forever, and being able to kind of see two that we've always kind of wanted to see together, finally together, and be able to have a conversation. That's awesome. So
the one thing I really want to see is I want to see more Rebels references. Like
I think they mentioned that they're coming, right? Because like
they should come in. I think in Andor, they have to come in Andor at some point because that's the exact same timeline.
Right, and then they also said that they're doing like maybe an Ahsoka series. So they said that they already got somebody to play Ren, and that they're like trying to bring this all into like a full on like battle for Mandalore. So I think we're gonna get like a bunch of rebel like people coming in once that kind of plays out fully.
The biggest question I guess it got answered, but I don't know if it did. I don't know if it just got kind of answered. Was that with Baby Yoda? Is he the first student that gets slaughtered in Luke's academy?
I mean,
but
right.
Since he left,
yeah.
But I feel like after that last episode when Mando like realized like that the kid saved his life, I feel like he realizes like this kid has to learn how to control, like be a Jedi, you know? So like
we talked about this. We talked about this, and then we also talked about the temple, right? The Jedi temple.
Yeah.
So we have some theories, and we want to bounce them off of you, and we want to see what you think.
All right. So we were talking about, like Rob said, we were talking about this. The biggest. Okay, so we were saying, all right. Okay, maybe he. Now I feel like he doesn't go back to Luke, right? I don't think he goes back and trains to be a Jedi necessarily. I feel like his mind is opening up, right? He's starting to remember things from the past. And I feel like as we go forward into the Mandalorian series, he's going to start remembering more things. Things are going to start opening up for him. It's going to be a lot more brighter. And I feel like he's just going to, the Force is within him. He's got it. I feel like he has his own path, right? And we watched a video, and they kind of explain how Ahsoka kind of did the same thing, where she just like was like, no, I'm not going to be a Jedi, but she still practices the Force. She knows the Force, but she's not considered a Jedi. So I feel like me and Rob were saying earlier, we were talking about it earlier. We feel like Grogu is going to kind of do the same while he's doing his little training, and the Mandalorian Din Djarin is doing his, trying to master his skill with the dark saber, kind of that kind of vibe. Yeah, and then the other, let's talk about that first, and then we'll get into the other thing.
Yeah, no, that definitely, I would like to see that. I mean, one point that, or another character that would also kind of similar to would be Kanan in Rebels.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And how Kanan kind of he had like the blaster lightsaber. Like, could you imagine little Grogu with like a little he had a
Mandalorian?
No, he had like a wrist lightsaber. Like it was instead of the blue shields that the Mandos have, it's like a lightsaber. Like that would be sick.
Yeah. So that's what we were talking about too. He obviously didn't get a Yoda saber. Like, you think he eventually just gets his own little saber, even though,
I don't know. It's tough. Like, with Ahsoka, I know her sabers were the original ones, but obviously the blades, they changed the color because of the path she chose. Yeah. So, but like, she was already a Jedi at that point. But I don't know. That's tough. Like,
unless he just starts using the dark saber.
I don't know. I feel like that's too big for him.
No, it's too far off.
Yeah.
Because then he would have to beat Mando in combat.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean,
let some
I don't know.
No. So, with that being said, as well, we did mention Ren, right? And so she wielded the dark saber for a little while, right? Um, it was might have been said that she might be showing up season 3 as well, and maybe um joining them,
You said
teaching.
Ren?
Yeah,
She wields the dark saber?
I thought she did, right? Didn't what's his face? Ezra and Kenan like teach her.
Teach Ren?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm tripping. I thought you said Ray.
No,
I'm like,
Ren.
wait, Ray Ren? They're confusing me. No, okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I remember that episode now.
hmm And so maybe she teaches the Mandalorian how to wield the dark saber since he's having trouble.
Oh,
And
I 100% think she's gonna show up at some point
Yeah.
yeah.
because she's out there right now, and technically, I think at this timeline, I think they're looking for Ezra, right?
hmm hmm
Or is it off? No, I think they are.
Because I know, remember Ahsoka when they met up the first time, she when she was fighting what's her name, the one that was wielding the spear.
Yeah,
She was like asking questions, like she was asking where's Thrawn, where's like asking
yeah.
questions to try to find them.
Yeah, because Ahsoka was in Rebels fighting Vader.
hmm
So yeah, so Ezra is gone at this point.
Right.
So I do think we will see Ren because, and then obviously I think Mando still wants to go back and join the Creed again, or like go to the what is it? Not the ponds, the mines of Mandalore.
Mm.
Right. He needs eventually needs to go back there.
But honestly, I should just give up that shit. Like what Boba said. You believe that crap? He's like, yeah, I do.
Right. So
He was ready
um
to die with honor.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I mean, I don't know, man. It's just it feels like it's. I mean, it's he's got to do something, right? I feel like he's embodied himself into this way of life, and he just can't like let it go. But you want him to, like, as a fan, you want him to just leave it all behind and kind of just do his own thing, you know?
I feel like eventually he is. I feel like with Grogu kind of picking his own like way of doing things, right? Like obviously I think he's gonna keep continuing to, in some way, uh deepen his connection with the Force, and then obviously like I think he's gonna be a Mandalorian, right?
Yeah, Rob's saying
Um
basically they're both gonna pick their own way.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think
Like,
their own way is gonna be together. I think they're just gonna kind of do their own thing and like teach
yeah,
each other and like just kind of like work together on reaching each other's goals basically.
well, speaking of work together, that episode with Boba and Mando, and he was like, "Well, we're gonna die with honor," and they just go out like guns blazing. I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh my god,
that
that
was
thing
sick.
was sick." I was like, "This is some cowboy western film
Oh
stuff."
man,
Oh yeah.
it literally shifted the tide for that. Like that whole episode, just it gave that vibe, like that old western. Even just the
Mhm.
showdown between him and Cad Bane,
Right.
oh man, like it was it
It
was
was just building up the
oh
entire season, to be
yep
honest.
yep.
Mhm.
I think they hit it right. I think they hit it good. You know, I mean
For
they
sure, for sure.
they built it up, and it I felt like the action and everything kind of just like it didn't
Yeah.
feel like it was missing much.
Okay. And
No.
then second part to the Grogu. So they said that he was born, right, and grew up at the Jedi Temple.
Uh-huh.
Do you think, because people obviously said that it would probably not Yoda, right? But maybe Yaddle?
Was his teacher?
No, it is his mom.
I don't think Yaddle's his mom.
So then they're just then like they're because they did mention that he might just be, um, born by the Force, kind of like Anakin was, right? But I mean, Yaddle and Yoda are only two that we have ever seen, right? Other than Grogu. So, you don't think there's any connection with those two at all?
I think, well, if you look back at like the beginning of like how Jedi are found, most oftentimes they're basically taken away from their homes.
Right.
So I think Grogu, Yoda, and Yaddle, I think they all were in that kind of same situation where they were kind of like not like the how they use the Jedi holocrons to find out where the
Mm-hmm.
new younglings are. I think they
Right.
were just younglings that were just taken and they went from there. Because it's like it's hard then you start asking like who's Yoda's parents? Who's Yaddle's parents?
Where do they even come from?
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. We don't even know what planet they live on. Nothing.
Yeah,
Just
we're still waiting for
mystery.
that to be announced.
Do you think
George
we find
Lucas,
that out?
Lucas knows. He knows.
He has
I
to.
don't think he does.
He knows. He
Oh,
just didn't
dude,
release it.
dude, you think?
That's why.
I
That's why he
mean,
hasn't told us. He's like, I don't know, guys.
I
Look how
mean,
in depth Star Wars is. He knows.
No, for sure. With that being, and then also after Order 66, what do you think happened to Grogu?
I think
Because
I
we
think
don't have a timeline after that, right? Because we only see him having that vision of the stormtroopers basically killing everybody, and then we get where the Empire is trying to get him.
all right, they're not stormtroopers. That was the 501st Legion.
Okay, well, whatever.
I don't think that I think either like a temple guard or maybe like one of the Jedi's sent him off before, or maybe even like a temple worker. They like found him and sent him off, and then after that, that's when the Empire started. Because I'm pretty sure if he was the only one, or there's a couple other, I'm pretty sure the Empire wanted to hunt them down after. And
Mhm.
so if he was like the last one that needed to be hunted down, which is why they started putting the bounty on him and whatnot. So, but I'm here's a bold prediction. Not a prediction, but a theory, I guess. Yeah, I can throw it out there. He was on Tatooine, so someone knew where to send him. So how did Grogu get to Tatooine? Right?
okay.
Okay, you following?
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. There's one person besides Kenobi and Yoda that knew where that knew where Kenobi was going to be. And that was Senator Bail Organa.
Okay.
And if you watch the episode 3, he picks up Yoda, and that's when Yoda goes into exile. So if this theory would make sense at some point in time, because Organa goes back to the temple during Order 66, and then that's when they tell him to leave, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if at another time he goes back later or some point or at a different time period, he goes back to find Grogu and just sends him to Tatooine to be with Kenobi? Because he doesn't know where Yoda goes, because Yoda just says, I'm going into exile. So he can't send him there.
Mm-hmm.
But he knows Kenobi's on Tatooine. So how else, like, why does Grogu just happen to be there? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So
So
that would make the most
That
sense
would
to me.
make the most sense
so
because also
as
Luke
Kenobi
and
was
everybody
kind
was
of
there too.
like watching over
Luke, he was
Luke.
watching over Grogu.
Okay.
Either he was supposed to be watching over Grogu, or someone sent Grogu to Kenobi and
And he didn't
Grogu
make it.
never made it.
Mm.
And that's how he ended up there. But I mean, it just makes sense because at that point in time, Kenobi and Yoda are the only ones left.
Yeah.
And then once Yoda dies, Kenobi's technically the only one that no one knows about. So how does Grogu just happen to end up on the same planet
as the 3 guys that are
that
people know
but
about?
but then again, no, that's wrong too. That whole theory's wrong now that I'm thinking about it, because Kenobi's already gone. Is he not? He's gone already, right?
Well, at the point
but remember they sent Luke there
at the start of
Mando, he's gone.
Yeah, Kenobi's gone.
So maybe we'll see Grogu earlier before Mando on Tatooine.
On Kenobi?
With Kenobi.
You think he shows up on Kenobi?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they would do that, but I wouldn't be surprised either. Because if we think about it, there's a gap to fill between the temple and how he gets to Tatooine.
Yeah.
I feel like we're gonna find that out at season 3. Like he's gonna keep having flashbacks, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It's either we're gonna find out in season 3, but at that time period, if that's correct, then technically they would both be on Tatooine, unless Grogu somewhere else before Tatooine.
I would say that he has to be somewhere else between Tatooine, because if it
could be. I mean, I don't know.
The fall of the Empire, it's been 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Then that's when Mandalorian finds him. So, like, no one's watching him for that 5 years, so he has to be with somebody else.
To say he didn't get intercepted, like Mikey said.
Right.
That's the thing. It's like
but I'm also just saying, like, in general, even if that is true, right?
Yeah.
Well, even still, who was watching him on Tatooine? Why was he just in that bunker?
Yeah.
Exactly. Right, because it was 5 years after the fall of the Empire, so someone has to be watching him.
New theory, it was Hondo.
Well, somebody has to know, because it was part of the bounty that he got.
Right.
So they obviously knew about him for some reason. And
it was Hondo. Yeah. Hondo intercepted him and put him there.
There you have it. Mikey has spoken.
New theory.
Mikey has spoken.
Oh, man.
Jeez.
I hate this show.
That was a lot for The Mandalorian.
I mean...
do we even want to talk about Obi-Wan anymore?
Is it fair to say that The Mandalorian carried the show?
It carried the finale.
Some people would say that the first half of the show was very kind of just like, you know.
I don't want to say that.
And then as soon as the Mandalorian showed up, it kind of just picked up. Which it did. Just.
But that's when everything started happening.
That's when everything started happening. Yeah. So it's kind of.
It didn't have a choice.
Yeah, exactly.
Because people were saying that when the Mandalorian started too.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, nothing's really happening, right? And then things started picking up, and then the Empire, and then trying to find Grogu a teacher, and all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want to say that he carried. I think they made him, like, it was like they forced it, you know?
They just brought him in at a good time.
Yeah.
I think they brought him in at a good time, but like we said, I don't think he needed a full episode, and I think that took away from it being Boba Fett's show. That's all.
I don't know. We did get long episodes of Boba in the beginning.
Yeah, we did.
With the Tusken Raiders.
Yeah, that second episode was like an hour long, and it was
crawling out of the Scarlac pit. There was a lot of backstory.
Yeah. There was.
Yeah.
That even though Mando did get his full episode, it kind of really, I think everyone kind of ignores that part of the beginning of Boba, because it's literally just storytelling and catching up.
Yeah, which I liked. I liked a lot.
It was just mandatory. You had to fill it in up until that point, because it was just everyone in the back of his mind, how did he live?
Right. But then right after that, it was Mando.
Yeah.
So it was it kind of sucked, because you really didn't get full on Boba Fett now, right? Except without Mando. So it was kind of like I don't feel like they really gave it too much of a chance, other than hey, this is how this guy survived.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Mandalorian and Grogu are back. Like,
Yeah. I don't know. It's tough. Um, Obviously, we've been talking about it here and there. Well, what do you expect from the Kenobi? Do you think it ties into any of this stuff that's happening now, or do you think it's kind of just its own thing? And what do you expect from it? Really,
like is it supposed to be after Rebels?
I'm not sure.
I think it's just gonna tie into Rebels. It can't tie into anything now.
Right? No, it can't. But it'll be after Rebels, right?
No, like during almost.
Really?
Yeah, because the rebellion wasn't formed yet, and in Rebels they were technically the start of the rebellion,
Right.
and technically Kenobi lives through the beginning of the rebellion. So you might see some parallels or like some connections, but I think technically it should be like the ending of the Kenobi series or like the middle to the ending is when Rebels kind of starts.
I mean, it's
Because
already yeah. Keep going. Sorry.
Or so unless it's right after episode 3.
no, because
Uh,
Rebels isn't right after. It's like
No, that's what I'm saying. Maybe they're trying to go from episode 3 because it's like, okay, what happens after episode 3, right?
yeah, I think
Like there's
that's
so many
where they'll go
years.
with it.
I think that's where they might go with it.
Because
Because
I
how many
think
years is that? That's like 16 years right there. That
yeah,
they
and
work
we'll
with.
see some time where Kenobi. I feel like they should send him to do like some Jedi hunting and stuff for temples and whatnot.
I think so.
But I don't know because he has to do his training. So they're gonna go through that. But I feel like he's gonna have to go somewhere or do something to go
You
through
think
that
we're gonna get
training.
a Qui-Gon?
Yes.
So according to this little timeline that I have here, yeah,
Nice.
this is before Rebels.
So it's gonna be his training with that'll be sick.
Because
And it's
So
been
we can
confirmed
see.
that Darth Vader or Anakin is going to come out in it. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, it has to be right after
he can't be
episode
on
3.
Tatooine the whole time. So I
Right.
feel like he's gonna be going around and going back and forth to do either some training or looking for the holocrons or whatnot. And then he'll run into Hayden Christensen or Darth Vader, Anakin, whatever, at some point where they'll battle.
Right. I mean, I feel like they have to because even in what episode 4 is when he died, right? They
Yeah.
say like, oh, like so we meet like this is a lot different from our last battle or something like that, right?
Last time we meet, I was nothing but the student, but now
Right.
I'm the master.
Right. And so people would kind of say that that's a reference not to episode 3, but like something before, right?
It could be. The biggest thing I'm curious to see, or at least prediction wise, is to see if they show Darth Maul's death on Tatooine. Because
in
Darth Maul dies in Rebels by Kenobi on Tatooine when Darth Maul goes looking for Luke. But this is like a perfect time to bring Darth Maul into live action and to see a live action lightsaber scene between Kenobi and Maul,
yeah,
Like
but
again, but like extended.
yeah, I don't think they will. I would like to because they already did it in Rebels, but it would still be cool,
yeah.
or to at least reference toward it.
Yeah. That'll be weird. I don't know. I feel like it's gonna be right. I feel like it's gonna be right after episode 3.
All I know is I guarantee we see Darth Maul. I guarantee it.
I know I wouldn't be shocked, but I mean,
He's coming. At some point, we're going to see him in the Kenobi series. There's no way you're gonna have Kenobi, a whole series about him, and not have Darth Maul in there.
Maybe a fight before their big fight.
It's somewhere, because if you look back at not Rogue One, Solo, at this point, Darth Maul's leading the Crimson Dawn.
Yeah.
And if you look at the end of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the Siege of Mandalore at the ending, Darth Maul is like with Ahsoka and he helps her or whatever, and then they kind of go their separate ways. So he goes from there into the Crimson Dawn. So and then at Rebels, you see him die on Tatooine. So there's that time period to fill in on what's he doing, where's he going, what's Kenobi doing, So there's definitely some time for them to make that connection.
I don't know. It's gonna be weird.
I'm
excited.
I
don't know. There's a lot. It kind of really depends on where they're gonna take it.
I think,
as far as timeline's concerned.
I think the best part about this is that we kind of is they're just filling in the gaps at this point. So it's kind of like we can kind of predict it or kind of guess who's gonna come in and who's not gonna come in, and which makes it more exciting, especially with, like you said, like all these characters that you've seen in these animated series coming to live action. So I'm sure there's fans that want to see that live action series of all these characters and all these. I mean, there's just so much time to fill because of the 30-year. There's a big gap between the timeline.
Episode 3 in Rebels.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, I mean, anything else that we need to touch up?
I feel like for the most part we hit everything.
Oh, we hit everything.
Yeah, I feel like we did. I feel like, man, this was great. I mean,
I just can't wait.
Yeah,
was it May?
Exciting. Yeah, May. That's exciting. We're gonna get Mandalorian season 3 by the end of this year, apparently. Mm-hmm. So, I mean,
we're gonna have a lot of questions answered.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I mean, it's exciting stuff to see.
We're gonna have more questions that need answers.
Yeah, that too. I mean, it's like hopefully our questions get answered, but then we're gonna
definitely we're gonna get more questions, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it's exciting, man. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you, Mikey, for joining us.
Thank you, our special guest.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
More than welcome to come on anytime.
Yeah, anytime.
I love Star Wars.
This was fun. Let us know what you guys think.
Yeah, for sure.
Everything Mandalorian, Boba Fett.
Tell me I'm a genius in the comments. That works.
Tell Mikey he's a
genius. Make sure we get him back.
Yeah, make him feel wanted.
Or don't. I'll still come back just to piss you off.
Mikey's gonna be the villain of the podcast.
That's Joseph.
Let us know.
Shout out Joseph.
I don't really think he listens to the podcast, but
he'll probably hear that.
If that, I don't think he made it this far.
Yeah, let us know what you guys think. Is Grogu? Do you think our Grogu theories? Let us know what Star Wars theories you have for us too. Other than that,
we would love ideas.
Yeah, we would love it. Other than that, thank you guys for tuning in. Peace.
All right. Appreciate you guys.